where we talk everything health and fitness. I'm your host, Rex Stevens, in studio, second week in a row. Former Olympic decathlete Paul Tarek. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Hey, you're welcome. Speaking of living the run, I mean, you were cutting it a little close. You were on Tarek time today, it looked like.
I was on Tarek time, but it's because I had so much confidence. I had one of those days today where you get out and run, and you just feel like, you know what, I can push it a little faster, even a little faster. I just kept going. Felt like I could be out there for a long time. You got to cherish those days. So I felt the speed today, Paul. I was in no stress coming in here a little bit late. Felt like I could get into whatever gear I needed to.
You could drop it down to the 8-minute mile pace.
Yeah,
exactly. You were moving.
I was flying at 8.5 minutes a mile.
You were moving quick coming in that door. That's what I know.
Look out, slow marathon, April 7th to 9th. Here I come.
Are you gonna run?
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I did the half marathon last year.
Are you gonna do the full this year?
Sure, the half. Dean Karnazes is definitely inspiring. If you guys didn't get to hear Dean just a few weeks ago, God, what a motivational guy. Done some tremendous stuff. Go to ultramarathonman.com to learn a little bit more about him. Couple real good books. If you're not motivated now, he will get you motivated. That's a good stocking stuffer, I'd say. Either Ultramarathon Man, which is his first book. Run was his second book, and then he had the 50 marathons in 50 days in 50 states. Another good book, as well as documentary to get you going. And God, Dean was a great interview a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't wait to have him back on, because every time he brings up a story, it's kind of like oh, by the way, last weekend knocked out 75 miles in like a pair of flip-flops. I was really bored. He's just got some interesting story like that.
Yeah, he's got a great take on everything. It's almost you got that sense when we kind of pushed out the Jaffa Cafe talk there. He started getting into that whole Greek thing, and you could tell, some Greek humor. And you read his books too. You could tell the relationship with him and his father. A lot of humor there. Family sounds like they have a great time, and that guy, he definitely lives the run.
Oh, looks like we got Virginia on the line already.
Well, hey, Paul, tremendous transition right there. I sat down with Mike Chelson this week, director here of ESPN Studios.
That was smooth. What are you talking about?
We were talking about always trying to improve. I said, Max, producer Max Woodcock doing great stuff for us. And we come right off with just fantastic transitions like that one. That's good stuff right there, Paul Tarek.
Some people have their strength. This is definitely not mine. I think everybody can agree. This transitioning from one thing to the next is not. There's not a clutch. We'll say it's just first, second, third. You power shift it.
I wasn't here when apparently you got to run the show a couple times by yourself. But
no, just once. No, yeah. one time, singular.
Only the smile on Max's face can kind of tell how that thing went and unfolded for the. I'm sure it was just it. Transitions were smooth. It was flawless.
Everybody has different measures of success. We were not fined by the FCC, and we're still on the airwaves now. So I success, big success.
We're still good, and Mike gave us the go ahead to keep running some shows into 2013. So thumbs up there, and looks good. And one of the reasons is Virginia's on the line, and we've had her weekly for the last few months. And as you said, Paul, you love these segments because we learn something a little bit more about our health, how to use resources. And so here's one last opportunity before Christmas to take another classic recipe that a lot of people use routinely and change it just enough so that it still tastes tremendous but has some aspect of a health benefit. So Virginia, last time before Christmas from Vert Foods, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the transition.
We tried to just kind of funnel that, and that was all Paul there, right there.
Pretty good, I know. Virginia, I was it was Paul.
Virginia, he's too calm. Like he's like, oh, by the way, we're gonna have Virginia on. I am so excited about what you teach us that I just want to get right to it. I want to stop talking about the junk that we talk about before you, and I want to get to the meat and potatoes.
But let's get to the junk. Well, let's get to the junk one more time. Is sometimes when you think about transitions like this, you wonder how Paul Tarek was ever a decathlete, going from one sport to the next, having to go from a throw.
It was very easy. You ran the 100, you stopped, you started long jumping. You didn't run the 100 and then kind of ease over to the long jump. No, you start.
Things happen.
Hey, talk about this. We put it up, Virginia, as you wrote to us. You said, learn how to say no to store-bought eggnog.
What an amazing amount of response I got from that. flooded with emails and Facebook messages.
That's blasphemous, Virginia. Store-bought eggnog is a staple of the Christmas dinner.
Well, it went in two different directions. It went to, is that safe? And then it went the other direction, which was, thank goodness, I remember my grandmother used to make homemade eggnog. But then at some point between Grandma making it and recently, everyone's been told you can't make homemade eggnog anymore. And it's very interesting. So I have told multiple people, whether or not it's the, Organic Valley Farms, blah, 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 at New Frontiers, take the actual bottle and read what's on the back. There are tons of stabilizers and additives, and there has to be people. This stuff isn't coming from your kitchen to your hand. It's sitting in the store. It's being shipped. There's going to be things in that eggnog that you don't want to drink, and it doesn't need to be in there. So eggnog is one of the simplest recipes. It has been around literally for hundreds of years. Big in England and other places. Eggnog was a tradition for a reason. It's actually an extraordinarily healthy thing to drink during the holidays, and it's an immune builder. Eggnog is very simple. It consists of egg yolk, which is why it's called eggnog, milk. I use coconut milk just in case there's a lactose intolerance. My husband personally likes raw milk for his eggnog. Sweetener used to never be put in eggnog. So you know what sweetened the eggnog? One of you must know this. Anybody? Rum. So rum was the natural sweetener. So you don't have to put rum in your eggnog, and it got taken out of eggnog for multiple different reasons. But rum, which actually does not have sugar in it because of the fermentation process, it's fermented maple syrup or fermented cane sugar, actually naturally sweetened the yolk and made it taste like there was sugar in it, but there was none at all. So we transitioned out of that. We took the alcohol out, and even though there wasn't much, and we put sugars, and then we put high fructose corn syrup, and we just kept adding Gruyere gum and additives, and pretty soon our eggnog that we buy at the store became pretty bad for us. You can use raw honey to sweeten it, and essentially it's egg yolk, milk, that sweetener, and your spices heated slowly over a stove and then strained. That's your eggnog. It's so simple, it's so easy, and somehow we've become so far away from it in the store, and we spend a lot of money on stuff that's just not good for us. I've actually told athletes in the past that making homemade eggnog is the perfect post-workout drink. It is so good for you. The protein, the herbs, all the medicinal qualities of the nutmeg, the cinnamon, it's good for your blood sugar. So it's not that hard to say no to store-bought eggnog.
No, we're gonna have to have
Can
a little.
you say no, Paul?
We're gonna have to have a little disclaimer though, and we're not responsible if you try to make your own eggnog and make yourself incredibly sick because you don't follow the simple instructions. I think I'd like to put that fine print out there and just get that get that on the.
Well, hey,
keep them refrigerated. Yes, keep them refrigerated. Drink immediately. Enjoy it. There's, I don't know if it was the original rum that was used in it. Whatever caused the huge controversy in eggnog to begin with. It was the egg yolks. I don't know. I'm not sure what.
I think it was that Christmas fable, Grandma got run over by a reindeer, that really got people thinking, could this really happen to Grandma? Let's take the rum out of the eggnog.
No, I think that's probably true, and let's put raw honey in it, or stevia, or agave, or whatever version of my paleo. People love to, use the agave and the coconut milk for their eggnog, so they can still, although they still use the rum, which confuses me.
So they can feel more paleo. Hey,
exactly.
Hey, Virginia, as always, I want to say thanks for the last few weeks. Even starting back in Thanksgiving, you've given a lot of possibilities for folks going into these holidays, making some changes, not kind of settling for that gaining of weight and for that kind of sugar high and kind of nonsense toxic high that just simply isn't necessary.
There's absolutely no reason that fear or guilt should be put into our eating. Eating something that should bring us joy and nourishment and happiness, and it's the holidays. Enjoy what you eat. Have a good time. If you're feeling guilty, then you need to question what you're putting in your mouth.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Thanks so much, Virginia.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Hey, Paul, so is it a no to store-bought eggnog now in your household?
It's not a no, but I'll definitely try the homemade recipe.
Maybe you do a compare-contrast there. It'll be kind of like a taste test. See which one you like better.
No, like she just talked about at the end, there is always that nagging little guy in the back of your mind going, "Hey, dude, don't drink that. There's things you can't even pronounce on the label. Don't drink that. That's not good. It can't be good for you." But it is. It really tastes so yummy.
Good book on that. Just kind of was sifting through this week called The End of Overeating. Kind of talks a little bit about that whole playing in your head when you see those things that you know aren't good for you, but for whatever reason you just can't get your mind wrapped around not touching them, eating them, and consuming them. You know, even when your body or your stomach says, hey, I'm full, we still keep going back to those. And, you know, these manufacture this stuff, these restaurants, they're crafty in the way that they put these sugar and salt combinations together, including artificial salts, artificial sweeteners, which we've talked about before. And it's, you know, they lure you in. So I think the big key is again, when you go to these stores, if you have recipes like the one we just posted on Living the Run for this eggnog, go to the store, buy those ingredients, and you won't get sucked in knowing what's in the cabinet, knowing what's sitting out there that you know you shouldn't be consuming.
Yeah, and if your eggnog turns out actually mediocre, then I mean win-win, you know? Like if you don't mess it up and burn it to the bottom of the pot, it's actually going to be a pretty good thing.
I can't figure out why you're anticipating burning it or messing it up. I'm still not understanding that, Paul Tarek.
You can't... I'm going to have to cook milk and eggs in a pan. There's some sort of touch involved. There are things that I'm good at in life. Throwing javelin, pole vaulting, not cooking eggnog.
If you didn't get that recipe or you haven't followed us on Facebook.com/livingtherun, do that. We put these recipes up every week, compliments of Vert Foods. And Virginia, who runs that company. And if you want to learn more, feel free, contact her, call her. But we get that wonderful opportunity of putting those recipes up for you each and every week, and some wonderful, wonderful things to be able to put on that Christmas dinner list or Christmas lunch list, or even New Year's for that matter. But Paul, you know, we're going to switch lanes here a little bit. Tonight's show's kind of interesting. I'm enjoying tonight's topic. As we come into Christmas, we think about gifts. We think about giving gifts. We think about what's popular out there. And things have changed dramatically since I was a kid, and probably even since when you were a kid there.
I think we're the same age there, Rex, aren't we?
I'm a little bit older than you.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Your kids, that's right. Your kids think you're smarter because you're older. I forgot. That's right.
But it's in the world of video games. And when we start to think about video games, the first thing that comes to mind is the changes in health and fitness. The things that we were doing, we're running around outside. Mom, you know, for discipline, if it was you went outside. If you needed a babysitter, she put you outside with a ball or on a bike. It wasn't in front of a TV with a video game or in front of a computer with a video game. The video games, we could talk ad nauseum about, you know, are they going too far with what they're doing? But let's stick to our topic of health and fitness. They're changing dramatically the way in which people move.
Yeah, would you consider yourself part of the original Nintendo generation? Because I can remember being, 7, 8 years old and seeing when the original Nintendo came out and the people, it was kind of like a divide. The people who always got together and played basketball and football and baseball, we lost a couple people because they were home playing video games. And then the people that didn't join us, they kind of strayed off and continued to play video games. And at that time, they're really, except for that one awesome Nintendo game that the Olympic one, the track and field one, that was awesome. Well, you remember that one that had the pad and you actually ran on it?
You actually ran on it.
So, except that one, every other one was just, thumb dexterity, up, down, whatever.
Well, we're going to talk to Taylor Hoyt about that. He's in the Silicon Valley. He's a video game guy. He's been in the production of video games. He's seen some change over the last bunch of years that he's been in it. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that aspect of health and fitness. No, our first video games were Atari. I started with Atari, and then I do remember Nintendo.
All 8 bits or 16 bits, wasn't it?
Yeah, but don't you remember, you sat there, you played for a little while, but you could only sit so long.
The game was boring enough that you could play it for 20 minutes and then be like, okay, I've beat the game. There's not enough memory, in the house. It's done. Let's go outside now.
Maybe it was that, but I found that the competition was more in who could make more baskets, who could run faster, who could do the trick on the skateboard, not who could get to the next level in a video game. There's obviously been a mind shift, but what we see there, and whatever it was, early 1980s, mid 1980s, that Nintendo comes out, we've seen since then this massive spike in overweight kids, right? Overweight people. I mean, we're saying kids, but this is a health and fitness issue for adults too. Adults are playing these games on the computer like crazy. They're sitting there all day. And so now we're seeing this rapid rise. And so my question is are we going to get to more active games? Are we going to get to more games that the family can play, that you could compete against one another more and start to bring kids in sweating in the living room, doing that on maybe a cold, blistery day?
Well, I think we're going to find out more about it here shortly. But if I had, from my perspective, I think so. The Wii's got Wii Fit. You have the Xbox Connect out there, and they're all active and involving people doing things, being mobile. And Wii is kind of, I don't know any much about the Xbox one, but Wii is taking it a little step further. They've actually got some yoga on there. Just things that you wouldn't normally consider a video game, but they're interactive. And I think that's what a lot of people were missing when you were just watching a video 15 years ago trying to get in shape, doing whatever the guy in the video said. This is like interactive, and it can tell you what you're doing right or wrong.
Yeah, I like that. They even had we had Dr. Mike Hall on here from Dallas, Texas not long ago, and he was kind of talking about some of the ideas of symmetry left to right in the body. You do a different stretch on the right versus the left, and you see some changes. And I like that. And so I heard one of the pads out there will show you distribution of weight as well, right to left, which is really kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, that one on the Wii, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but there's one on the Wii where you stand on. You just stand as a chiropractor. You would probably really, you'd actually see it.
Yeah, I love this stuff. You
stand on that, and it tells you like where you're putting most of your weight, or if you're leaning forward on your toes or on your heels. It was incredible when I did that the first time. It was like I thought I was in great shape. It was back in 2005, and it was like, oh, I'm in really good shape. Yeah, I'll jump on this thing and it'll be really easy. Okay, and it was like, I'm way off to the left a little bit and on my toes, and I'm like, oh man, this thing isn't right. This thing needs to be calibrated. This can't be correct.
Couldn't be me. There's
no
way.
Me.
Yeah.
A poor craftsman blames his tools.
Routine. Hey, it looks like Taylor Hoyt is on the line, so we got to take a quick break. This is going to be an interview that's extremely interesting, one that you're not going to want to miss, and especially coming into this Christmas season where the gifts are being bought. We want to kind of think about which ones we're getting. Are they sedentary for our kids? Are they sedentary for ourselves? Or potentially kind of giving us a little activity, little coordination, pushing us forward. So Taylor Hoyt on Living the Run next.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Since 1929, Standard Process has been dedicated to providing the highest quality whole food supplements. Their philosophy is simple: to provide nutrients as they are found in nature. Today, scientists are finding more and more evidence demonstrating the benefits of whole food nutrients over high-dose synthetic vitamins. Standard Process's unique products are sold through healthcare professionals who are trained in using whole food nutrition as the first line of defense for the body. Visit www.standardprocess.com for more information or to find a Standard Process healthcare practitioner near you.
You want to get fit? And I mean really fit? Fit for fun? Fit for looking good? Fit for life? It can happen for you at Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo. Athlon has a 4-week fitness fast start designed to get anyone back on track and moving like a champion quickly and effectively. For a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to a new level. Go to athlonslow.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make.
My name is Chris Randolph, and as a local track and field Olympic hopeful, I've been seeing Brian Quigley at Slow Wellness Center to help me with injury recovery during my season. Brian has not only helped me with some very extensive injuries, but has also educated me on the specifics of how my body moves when I compete. His knowledge and touch has helped me achieve personal bests in my competition and has also helped me in injury prevention. Becoming a wellness patient of his has helped me stop my injuries before they start, making time spent recovering shorter, leaving more time spent training for my goals. From injury prevention to wellness, Brian understands the patient and holistically helps them achieve their personal health-related goals. So check out Brian Quigley at peakperformanceslo.com and find him on Facebook and comment a response to this ad and get a complimentary 60-minute massage.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, talking to a guy today, Tom Lorish, great guy, works for PG&E, and he was telling me about an event that I think is so good for so many of our listeners. You know, when you talked about sustainability practices and so forth, we've talked about that on the show before. We will continue to talk about it in the future. But I just want to give a quick promo here. It says, do sustainable practices make business sense? Join on Thursday, January 17th, where keynote speaker Hunter Lovins, nationally known sustainable business management professor, consultant, and author, will answer this question and more at the Embassy Suites in San Luis Obispo. Also, Russ Lester, sustainable organic walnut farmer, will tell you how he uses his biomass waste to power his farming operation. For more information or register for a business case for sustainability, visit www.abizcaseforsustainability.com. This event brought to you by PG&E, with all proceeds going to the Central Coast Vineyard team. You know, this is great stuff, you know, as always. Some of these sustainable practices, and I know, you know, I talked to Tom a little bit, and, you know, sometimes you use the word sustainable and people just tune out and I don't totally get it, but I love this angle that they're coming in on. Sustainable from a business perspective. Does it make business sense as well? Not just am I doing something environmental, not am I just doing something for my health, which of course are huge deals too, but for whatever reason that does turn people off and they get this kind of weird idea of change. But when you talk money, you talk sustainability about business, good stuff, great event. We'll talk about this each week until January 17th. Thursday, January 17th.
Yeah, I think the sustainability aspect of business is something that has been overlooked because resources have been so cheap. But as we move forward and we're realizing that we have these limited resources, you know, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to a changing economy. And I think you have to do it in order to survive in the future. Yeah,
no question about it. Hey, now coming on the line, we're super thankful to have writer, video producer for a couple different companies, interview with leaders in cinematic design, been in the kind of the video game industry, if you will, for a while. And I didn't tell you this, Paul Tarrant, because this is the most important thing about Taylor Hoyt here. 10 years ago, or maybe up to 12 years ago, student in my 8th grade science class up in the Bay Area. Super nice to see what Taylor's doing now. Taylor, thanks for joining us.
Great day to talk about some video games.
Great day to talk about video games. I used to go in, Paul Tarrant, and I'd say, it's a great day for a quiz. Throw a quiz on these guys at the beginning of class. You know, just a great day to have guys like that in the class.
Well, I think it's real important to note now, just for our listeners, that, you know, even with poor guidance as the younger children, people can still be successful. And this Taylor's proof of this right here in front of us, so that's good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice job, Taylor. Well, you know, it's so interesting you got in the game industry, and I wanted to talk back because Paul and I were talking about going back ourselves and not being sucked into the gaming industry as much as it seems kids are today. But, you know, Taylor, we had at lunchtime, every single lunch that I was there at that school for 2 years, our classroom, or my classroom, was full of you guys playing video games. But tell them what video game it was.
So we played this music rhythm game called Dance Dance Revolution. And what this is you don't play with a typical controller. You have this dance pad that has up, down, left, right arrows, and you basically step on the pad in unison with what's being played on the screen. So it's sort of like this exercise music rhythm game, and man, we could not get enough of that stuff. We would go on the weekends, we'd play in your classroom at lunch, so yeah, that was a phenomenal game.
And it was great stuff. You know, the kids at lunch, Paul, they're sweating, you know, they're competing, trying to get the higher score. It took more coordination, better footwork, better aerobic capacity. It was a great thing, and it's just not what I'm seeing today.
We had an arcade at Michigan State, and I remember when they got that video game, and it was like there were 5 people that lived around that video game, and it was like they owned it, and we could all just play every now and then.
Taylor, tell us where video games are going today. You know, unfortunately, and talk about what's the most popular today, what we see in the future. But is there any chance, with all of the changes in kids' health and fitness today due to a more sedentary lifestyle, do we see anything in the future or on the horizon that's going to get us more into those active type games again, sweep us by storm with the Dance Dance Revolution, or something that can get families going together, kids wanting to compete against one another again?
Yeah, so the first question you threw out was, what are the most popular games? And I would say the most popular franchise right now is Call of Duty, which is kind of a modern military action game. And I think the real draw to that is playing with your friends. You go online and you team up with your buddies and stuff. And there's other games similar to that, like Borderlands and Halo and things of that nature. But to answer your second question, is there something like Dance Dance Revolution, something where they can kind of get up and move around? And I would say kind of a phenomenon that's caught on the last couple of years is a peripheral for Microsoft's home console. It's called the Microsoft Kinect. And what it is like a camera that reads your body movement. So you don't need to touch anything. You just need to hold a controller, and it can just track your body movement. And I would say the killer app or the most popular game for that is a game called Dance Central, which is very similar to DDR. It's a rhythm game, but it tracks your moves, and it has a lot of popular artists like licensed songs on there. So that is definitely popular. I would say it's way more popular now than DDR was even back then.
So guys like Paul Tarek then can no longer blame the machine if it goes bad because it's it's literally taking your every move accurately?
It is. Well, I'll say this. The technology for that isn't where it could be, but I think the best use of that peripheral is with Dance Central. Very simple kind of, choreographed dance movements. It can't track any kind of fast movement very well, but for these kind of fitness dance games, it's probably the best use of that.
Yeah, I've never played that one. The one that we got stuck on was Super Mario. I think it was like the Beijing '08 Olympics for Super Mario. And if you do that and you're actually competitive, we had 3 guys doing it. I mean, your shoulders are burning by the end of it. Unfortunately, there's not really any like leg activity in it, so you're pretty much overdeveloped in the upper body. But hey, aren't we all?
Hey, Taylor, are there concerns among companies as they're looking at this? Are there concerns, or is there pressure from anyone with this whole idea of a lot of the conditions that are plaguing kids today that didn't plague them before? Obesity, type 2 diabetes, even some of the learning disorders, or some of these things that are being highly medicated for now that weren't medicated for 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Is there any pressure on the companies, or is the pressure still to make the next best shoot 'em up game more sedentary type game?
Well, I would say right now the biggest focus for companies is probably to get how can a gamer get the most value out of their game, because it used to be like your Mario or whatever, you play it for a little bit and you're done and there's no replay value. Well, now a lot of companies are trying to implement some form of multiplayer where it's never ending, right? So it's like I can get on with my friends anytime. We can hop on with our buddies across town and play together. We can just keep playing as long as there's somebody to play with. So they are, of course, trying to make the next big blockbuster, the coolest graphics. But it seems like almost every game is trying to shoehorn a way to get people to be playing it like as long as possible. It's kind of a value thing at this point.
But isn't there some sort of responsibility in that, though, knowing that I know I'm asking this question already knowing the answer, but doesn't the corporation feel some sort of responsibility that's like, well, we offer this great game, and yeah, they're totally hooked on it, but maybe they're not good things that they're learning. I mean, I can't imagine that it's good to teach kids that are in like middle school that, yeah, it's totally cool. Be up all night playing shoot 'em up games till like 4 a.m. and then go to bed, catch like 4 hours of sleep, and do it all again the next day.
Well, I will say this. I think games have come a very long way from just killing people to doing very artful and expressive things. Like there's a game this year called Journey that's up for a lot of Game of the Year awards, and you don't kill anybody, nobody kills you. The whole game is centered around you and another player traveling through this desert, trying to reach the top of this mountain. It's this very beautiful game where it has nothing to do with killing anybody. So I think games definitely have come a long way with providing different experiences. But to get to your question about do they feel any sense of responsibility, I don't think they really think of it that way. I think they feel like, okay, we're going to provide this, and it falls on the parents to limit their kids to time played, or, it's like anything, right? You have to do it in moderation. So I really don't think that that's their concern.
Yeah, not even on their mind, right? I mean, I read the book, and again, you're listening to Taylor Hoyt talking video games and how that's impacting our health. I read the book called Boys Adrift. The doc was Dr. Leonard Sachs. He's an MD, PhD, pediatrician. I think he's back east. And, he talked a lot about some of this altered reality. I mean, can kids be able to transition from what they're seeing on the screen and then be able to transition nicely into society? And can they do it when they're on a whole bunch of medications too? Now all of a sudden their brain's a little bit altered from medication. Then they go in and they play these games, where they're allowed to, shoot up a cop. I don't know, even some of this prostitution stuff I've heard about in some of these games, and some of these things that just, obviously to a younger kid, it's not reality, but how do they transition? I mean, is this is just not even talked about?
I think, to be honest, that sort of thing is blown out of proportion. Like, if, you look at me and some of the other kids that, you taught back in the day, none of us are going out and shooting people. And I mean, I played some of those games now, but again, I don't know I think it really falls on the parents or whoever is supervising to them to figure out, like, to teach them the difference between, like, what they're seeing is obviously not reality. It's a lot of fantastical, supernatural things that aren't in real life.
Or just having a good 8th grade science teacher.
Exactly. Getting us to do the fitness games. That's really all we need. But again, to your point, I really think that games have come a long way to, at least like to people like me that have played games their whole life and grown up with that, and to see the different kinds of games that are out there. It's not all these violent games. Those do sell and those are kind of popular, but there are other alternatives to that I think are gaining recognition, especially this year.
But I think we can agree that I don't want to say an exception to the rule, but you're probably not the norm, of all the people playing it. It's a lot of, I had a roommate, he lived with us, and there was a period where I saw him like 3 times in 6 weeks, and he never left the house. And the only thing that I thought was just odd about it was, who he's playing against online. It was like, we talk about health and fitness on this show, and a lot of times we're just thinking like physical health and, being in shape, but there's a big aspect of mental health involved. And when a lot of these kids are like 12, 13, they don't necessarily have good social skills. And because, in the anonymous world of like computer gaming, everybody can say anything and get away with it. I mean, I just kind of think that breeds some, not to get off track. We're always off track, I guess. We're never on track.
That's what we do on the show.
But I'm just saying, they're allowed to kind of run off at the mouth, and there's no accountability for, just talking a bunch of smack to this guy, and they walk away from it like, it's not a big deal. And then they don't, I don't think they ever transition away from that, like, okay, well, that was a video game. Okay, now I'm going to come back to real life and I'm going to start being respectful like I'm supposed to be. It's kind of like, let's just let it spill out,
Oh, totally. I mean, I would totally agree with you on that. Those guys are like, that's like the infamous 12-year-old Xbox kids, because when you go play online, you can put your headset on and you can, like you said, talk smack to people, and there's no recourse. I almost think that's sort of this anonymous internet age where you could say anything and you're not going to get in trouble for it. So I don't know if that's exclusive to games, but I totally know what you mean. Like, you get on your headset and just say whatever you want. There's no recourse for that. So there's got to be a way where it becomes less anonymous, so there's some way to create some sort of feedback, negative feedback. So if you were to say something nasty like that, you need to get banned or lose your privilege or something. I totally agree that is gotta stop.
A built-in function that recognizes a dude that's just talking smack and then posts his personal information online. See, look at that. Problem solved.
Hey, brilliant idea, Paul. Taylor Hoyt, brilliant idea. Before we go, Taylor, give us your top two. I want to know what's the best game for imagination and creativity. What's the best game for movement coming into 2013? What should we see in our stockings, or what should be gift wrapped under the Christmas tree this year?
If we're talking, movement and doing, a couple different fun things moving around, there's Just Dance is on pretty much every platform. It's, Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 3, Xbox, and that's a kind of get up and move game. But if you want like a game that isn't violent and maybe isn't kind of existential either, it's kind of a good gateway journey that I've been talking about, is a really great game. I think it'll open a lot of people's eyes to games that are a little bit different than what maybe the public thinks they are.
Great evening to Live the Run with Taylor Hoyt. Taylor, thanks for chiming in on this. Awesome topic, and look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Go 49ers. I'm so sorry about your Chargers. Man, they were just, I don't know what happened.
Oh, giving me flack. Come on, that's not what this show's about. We're talking health and fitness. Taylor, thanks, man.
All right, take care, Rick.
Good stuff. You can see what kind of flack I got as an 8th grade teacher. Hey, we got to take a break here, Paul. Hold that comment. We'll be back with more. And we got Ryan Joyner, Athlon Elite, coming up next.
You're listening to Living the Ride on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
The ultimate choice for sports massage in SLO County? Peak Performance. Conveniently located at SLO Wellness Center just blocks from Cal Poly, is ready to assist you to reach your personal best. Calling all athletes and fitness enthusiasts. If you're ready to start alleviating symptoms by addressing the true problems, if you are seeking efficient and effective body work, then you can count on Peak Performance. Nagging injury, losing the bounce in your step, pain or tightness keeping you from training hard and reaching your goals? Raise your standards, raise your expectations. Call Peak Performance 543-8688.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Imagine waking up every morning feeling great, jumping out of bed, starting your day, and then energetically getting through the day and finishing with plenty left for the evening. The fact is, you were born with all the tools you need to function optimally, develop lean, strong muscles, and generally feel good, productive, and pain-free. You just need to relearn to use these natural tools, and it's not as hard as you think. Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo has a 4-week fitness fast start designed specifically to get you back on track and moving like a champion, quickly and effectively. And for a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to a new level. Go to athlonslo.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you ever make.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff puts your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, Call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, talking to David Whitaker today of Left Coast Teas, sponsor of Living the Run, saying come January, guys, go to slowmarathon.com, not only to sign up for the half marathon, or 5K, April 5th through 7th, again, 2013, but also to get some new paraphernalia, some training equipment, etc., all the way down the road. People go all out on this kind of stuff, but you'll be able to get it at slowmarathon.com specifically for the slow marathon, again, April 5th through 7th, 2013. Hey, that was great with Taylor Hoyt. If you guys just missed the last interview, talk to Taylor Hoyt. It'll be on livingtherun.com or Facebook/livingtherun, and we'll put it on as a podcast tomorrow. It was good stuff. It spawned a lot of conversation for all of us in here. And, we were just talking, Max, as we got going there, as I had mentioned in the book, End of Overeating, they come at you making these foods to try to keep you eating even though you're full. They get you to do something you don't want to do. You just commenting they're doing the same thing in the video game world, keeping us more sedentary for longer periods of time, on and on and on. Next thing you know, you're trapped.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My roommate just got the new Halo 4, and I was telling Rex, I spend most of my day looking at a computer screen working, so I get home and I'm not too intrigued with just staring at a screen for any more longer, but he'll be going at it. And, I watched him. He beat the regular game. He goes on. He beat some of the expansion levels. 2 weeks after it's released, there's a whole new download you can get with 20 plus more levels. Their goal is to keep you there. They don't want you going to a new game. They want you there.
How is this any different than a casino?
It's exactly the same thing. It's no different. It keeps you sedentary. We're overeating. We're keeping ourselves eating when we shouldn't be. Now we would have this urge to get up and move, go for a walk, go for a run. Now we don't. We just continue the sitting. And this is the kind of stuff that is killing us health and fitness-wise. And it's just keeping people from being able to reach goals and reach human potential.
You talked a lot about that a couple shows ago. The big thing I think that people don't do is they don't keep things in moderation. They don't. We talk a lot about food. Okay, you can eat that in moderation. You can eat this in moderation. But it kind of applies to everything. Like you can lift weights, but you don't lift weights solely as your only form of working out. You don't only lift weights all day long. You don't only eat the same healthy food all day long. Everything is good in moderation. The thing is, video games, you have to be able to enjoy them, but you also have to be able to get up and walk away from them, because there's not, it doesn't matter if you beat the video game. It's not a big deal.
But the point is, Paul, is what they're doing is that they're luring you in and you don't know it. They're creating chemical sensitivities with the salts and the sugar combinations. They're creating cortisol reactions or adrenaline reactions with the different colors, with the different action things, with the different goals that you're meeting. And so you're getting trapped into this kind of idea. The book kind of goes into this, which is kind of interesting deal, is that your body wants to regulate, or they use this term homeostasis, but you're actually superseding that and not going with natural stimuli, and you're being tricked. Realistically,
I think to an extent, I think maybe you can put some of the blame or onus on the manufacturer for that. But again, it comes down to, if you're going to play this, you need to recognize you're like, man, I have this urge to like myself. I have this urge to look at Craigslist right now. I really want to, but I'm not going to do it.
But I'm doing a radio show right now.
Doing it, but I'm driving.
I wouldn't stop them all the time.
But I'm getting married. Whatever the case may be. The point is, it's like you have the urge to do it. It's like, I've been doing that kind of for 5 hours today. I'm gonna go ahead and stop that. Maybe I need to recognize this before it's a big problem. You were talking about successful people, totally successful, everything's great, and then all of a sudden they get this video game, and they are like locked. That addictive personality that drives somebody to be successful in one field will be the same personality that drives them to destruct almost in it, doing something that's not good for them.
Well, Paul, you're almost going into a perfect segue here, I think. We got Ryan Joyner of Athlon Elite, and one of the things he wanted to talk a little bit about tonight going forward, and when you start to look at New Year's resolutions and things that you want to do, it's about getting a coach sometimes. And sometimes people need to be around somebody else that can kind of mentor them when they know they have one of those personalities that's more likely to come home, not go to do the run, not go and get a workout in, not go and buy buy good organic food, but stop by the fast food spot. They need a coach that will drive them and motivate them to get moving forward.
Just like you coached me earlier, and I had that good segue, that transition there. You liked that, didn't you?
I'm not sure that I'm the best coach for the radio in this case. Max may have private lessons for you after the show, or maybe next show.
I've been seeing him 3 days a week, actually.
Yeah, he's footing the bill for that. But hey, Ryan Joyner, Athlon Elite. Ryan, I just want to say again, thanks for joining the team here at Living the Run over the last couple months. I know you wanted to kind of give a little segue into just before Christmas time and what's going forward in the new year, but we're talking coaching. I know you wanted to mention that. But again, thanks for your contributions up to this point. Love meeting with you each and every Wednesday night.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I enjoyed it myself. And yes, that one was a far better segue than the earlier one tonight. I mean, you guys put the ball on the tee for me, right?
We're trying.
All I got to do is swing now. So yeah, I would say to a number, and I've heard it on the show a number of times tonight, the word they. So they put the ingredients in the food to get you to eat more. They put they make the game more stimulating, and so you sit there for 5 hours. They, and this is true. And again, that's the typical human experience. Is that we are influenced by our environment, and we're influenced by many things. That's the power of having a coach. You know, I mean, if you think back to your most inspired times, and if you even think back to just your moderately inspired times in your life when you've been productive, when you've gotten things done, there was someone that was providing some positive influence, and they helped you steer clear of some of these, pitfalls that we tend to fall into, such as an addiction to a game or an addiction to coming home and having a beer rather than going out for that run, or avoiding the cold or whatever. So the power of a positive coach is just immense, and anybody that ever gets up on the podium and accepts an award, almost the first words out of their mouth is paying homage to their coach that got them there. And so I would encourage everyone through the holiday season, and then of course into the new year, on the fitness side of things, to consider getting a coach. And it doesn't have to be Athlon; it can be any facility out there. It can be anybody that's going to have a positive influence, or even a website that's going to give you daily coaching. It's going to help. I would, of course, recommend an in-person coach who can identify your movements at the same time as program kind of what to do on the fitness side of things. But any kind of positive coach is going to help. And then again, on that note, we have about 5 more days of the holiday survival program offer that you can get right now, which is a whole month of coaching at Athlon for $197. So there you go. Great segue, and thanks a lot.
Smoking stuff as always, Ryan. Again, you can find these guys at athlonelite.com. They're out off Aero Vista, right near the airport. 805-546-6070. 805-546-6070. Good stuff from Ryan Joyner as always, and he kind of got into that. And I didn't want to put blame on anything, because there certainly isn't blame. We all have onus for ourselves. But no question that at times we can get sucked in by some of this stuff, and if we're not paying attention, the next thing you know, you're doing habits that you wish you weren't doing, and sometimes it's hard to get out of it. Accountability partner, a coach, something like that to break the bad habit and to change and get you going anew.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. He said a positive coach, and I don't think people don't need to confuse that with somebody who's always telling you positive, good, nice things. You need somebody that's going to keep you honest towards the goals that you want to achieve in life. Somebody that's going to make, like he said, make you go out, get that run in, or eat that healthy food. Like you said, somebody to recognize when, hey, you know what, you're kind of sliding, you're not moving down the path you want to be on. You need to kind of get yourself moving in the right direction. Yeah, it's an interesting point, Paul. I hadn't really thought of it like that. But when you say a positive person, I think a lot of times people, they almost don't like that. They think of that kind of almost Pollyanna type of thing, where it's just all this goody two-shoe type of stuff. And that's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about getting direction. We're talking about making changes. And sometimes those changes actually aren't that fun, but the coach recognizes it and encourages you through it and gives you the right tools to get through those tough times. Again, it's not just all this kind of happy-go-lucky, positive verbiage. Yeah, I think we've kind of come into this, at least I've seen anyways, in coaching some athletes, it's this I don't know where it changed, but I remember back in college, like my coach would yell at me and tell me like I was doing terrible. And I'd see some of these athletes lately, and it's like you can't tell them that anymore. You can't say, "Oh God, that was terrible. Do it again." It's like you gotta sugarcoat it, and you gotta kind of put it on a nice tray, and it's about presentation because they're gonna turtle up and stick their head in the ground like an ostrich and go, "Oh man, I can't hear that negative stuff." And it's like, like you said, whether it's your spouse, whether it's somebody you respect, the idea is you want to get somebody that believes in you and wants to see you succeed, and they're not trying to lead you astray or tell you the wrong stuff. They're just trying to say, hey, these are the goals you have. I'm trying to help you accomplish them.
I would say that one of the major reasons I think that's changed is because sports psychology's come into play, and a lot of sports psychologists have started telling coaches, that you need to deal with individuals as individuals. You can't just coach one way, because some people will respond to that screaming with a great sense of urgency and say, you're right, I need to get better. Some will say, oh man, I'm not good enough for him, and they'll instantly become that defeated attitude. And so there's those differences between individuals, how they interpret the kind of feedback they get, and a lot of that it's created that individualized coaching, which is another reason why Ryan said, go find someone that's right for you. If you need somebody to just grill you 24/7, then go find somebody like that. If you need somebody to not necessarily tell you exactly what you want to hear all the time, but somebody that won't just beat you down by yelling at you, then maybe go find somebody that's a little bit more like, hey, you know what, this might be best for you because this is the results you're going to get from it.
Or you could just join like Little League Soccer, and you could play Everybody Wins Soccer. We all get a juice box. It'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, at a young age, that's a fine thing. When you're young, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear where you're going with this, and I think that the big key is what you said there at the end, Max, is that in cases like what we're talking about with health and fitness, we're talking about big things, people losing weight, people who, trying to change going from depressed to happy, people trying to elevate fitness, trying to reach a goal. So oftentimes that's going to be more of a one-on-one thing. I think some of the sports psychology stuff you're talking about is that football coach that's yelling at 52 players that's out there. Obviously the 52 aren't going to receive the message the same way. And I think what we're talking about here a little bit more is that kind of that one-on-one stuff. Tips and takeaways here, Paul, from tonight's show.
Tips and takeaways is hands down going to be to get yourself a coach and get yourself some direction. I actually already had a volunteer just texted me and said he would be my coach. Kurt Wilson, good buddy of mine, used to be a bodybuilder, so I might take him up on that.
Are we looking at a new physique for Paul?
It might be.
He's
in dang good shape. I think he's in his late 40s, and he is in incredible shape. So I might be looking better in a couple months here.
Hey, my tip and takeaways is that you can make change, no question about it. You can make change if you're a video game person into a more positive atmosphere. You can get into some of these health and fitness games. I watched the kids do it when I was a teacher, Paul. They did it every lunch. It was good stuff. Hey, great show tonight. If you missed it, check us out tomorrow, livingtherun.com. The podcast will be there. For former Olympian Paul Tarek, for Adam Melhuse, who we missed tonight, producer Max Woodcock. Next week, your favorite Jordan Hasse. Live healthy, live bold. Come live the run.